the end of the bloodline.
No, we're not.
Before we look ahead, here's a quick look back at Aquaman. Released in 2018 and starring Momoa as Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, his second DCEU appearance after Justice League the year prior. The fresh Aquaman was directed by James Wan, and it marked the 6th installment in the DCEU. Now, in it, he's tasked with stopping his half-brother King Orm from bringing together the 7 underwater kingdoms to basically destroy the surface world. It's always another family member that causes us the most drama. Now, of course, Aquaman prevails and ascends to the throne as King of Atlantis while sparing Orm's life in the process. A key plot for the sequel, FYI. We're gonna put a pin in that. Now, the movie grossed over $1.1 billion worldwide, making it the highest-grossing DCEU film, and Warner Brothers is now 3rd highest-grossing one ever. Barbie's number 1, and the last Harry Potter movie is number 2. A doll, a wizard, and a merman all walk into a bar. No, I'm just kidding, I'll spare you. Now, of course, back then, a sequel was top of mind, but then a pandemic happened, and then Hollywood happened, and yada yada yada, now we're here. And by here, I mean the arrival of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now, from what we know so far, this 15th and final DCEU installment takes place several years after the events of the first film. This time, Aquaman has to protect his loved ones, and all of Atlantis for that matter, from an ancient power that was unleashed by Black Manta when he obtained the cursed Black Trident. Ironically, Aqua's gonna need some help from his very enemy from the first film, his half-brother Orm. That is me taking the pin out. I mean, family guys, it is complicated. Now, bringing this story to life will be plenty of familiar faces. Some of those joining Momoa from the first Aquaman movie include Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta, Patrick Wilson as Orm, and Nicole Kidman as Atlanna, along with Dolph Lundgren, Tamora Morrison, and our boy Randall Park, who plays Jimmy Woo in the MCU, and marine biologist Dr. Stephen Shin for this franchise. Randall, we love to see it. The legendary Julie Andrews, who provided the voice of a mythical Leviathan and Keeper of the Trident in the first movie, does not return, nor does Willem Dafoe as Arthur Curry's mentor. Now, we also know that Ben Affleck's cameo as Batman has been cut for a few reasons, according to The Hollywood Reporter. When it comes to new faces, we know that Vincent Regan will play Atlan, the first king of Atlantis, after the role was played by various others in previous films. Plus, Zhani Zhao is playing the character Stingray, India Moore is playing Karshin, and Palu Asbeck, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones, has an undisclosed role. Along with James Wan getting back in the director's chair, here's who else helped make this thing happen. So Wan, who made his name in the horror genre's Conjuring universe, also co-wrote the script once again with David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, that is a very long name, who worked on this one too. Now this time, they got some help on the writing side from Momoa, who's credited for the story and has publicly been more involved with the script since the filming of the first movie. In fact, it was actually his initial idea and pitch that got the ball rolling for this sequel. I mean, if you're gonna be Aquaman, you might as well be Aquaman, you know? The world of superhero franchise acronyms is getting pretty confusing, so don't worry, we're gonna clear all this up for you. A lot has happened between these two Aquaman movies, and the biggest thing was a restructuring of DC Studios in 2022. From that, James Gunn and Peter Safran were put in charge, and the DCEU as we know it, with people like Cavill and Affleck, is over and done after this Aquaman film. In fact, Shazam! Fury of the Gods technically served as the start of the new DC universe back in March, a soft reboot of the old DCEU. This new franchise will eventually have united continuity across TV, movies, and video games. And while Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom doesn't seem to fit in with those plans, Momoa could still return to the franchise as a different character, and I gotta say, you never know. If this movie makes enough money, I'm sure they'll find a way to work it back in. You know what I mean? Okay, friends, that's everything you need to know before you go see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in theaters December 22nd.